Baguado Focarinos, and welcome back to another Guinness Lounge Racing event. Here we're going to have a GT4 event here at Laguna Seca. 9 minutes left to go of qualifying. Just going to sort my social medias out and then I will be back. Friday. Well, with 3 minutes left to go of qualifying, it's no surprise to see 666 in P1. We've got Professor Bean in P2 and GLR racer Dougie P3, followed by GLR JD and Cubs Fan. So we'll see exactly whether this six grid start will be able to change the positioning round. As in the GT4 Aston Martin being chased down by the lap leader. Oh, that all needs taking off. Driver ping, we don't want that. And none letting Cubs fans through. Bit of Tokyo drift through there in the coming out of the chicane of Laguna Seca. Little I can't believe the camera even zoomed in on that bit where Kent lost it through the corkscrew, which I'm sure will claim victim to 1 or 2 today. But it looks as though Kazumitsu's well and truly put himself in a clean run at P1. Professor Bean in the 69 M4 in P2. Dougie taking a podium position and GLR JD on the second row with Dougie, followed by Anun. And Cubs Fan. Howdy doodle, Kaz. Kaz. I need to know your name. I can't keep calling you Kaz. Okie dokie, so we've got 6 GT4s on track with us today at Laguna Seca for a 40-minute sprint. What up, Kazi? Brat, brat, brat. I don't want any commentators cursing going on today, because I think you do watch the stream, don't you? So I'll try not to put you off by saying Kazi is an absolute legend, and he has just binned it into the corkscrew. Please don't do that to me. But nevertheless, we have the GLR boys. It's PS4 cars. If you're happy, call him your cars, that's absolutely fine. But yeah, no, it's PS4, brother. 30 seconds left to go, waiting for the form. I assume there's going to be a formation lap here at Laguna Seca.
20 seconds. 10 seconds.
Swig of my energy drink. eSports energy to keep me in the zone. Kent Anderson. Is this Kent Cubs? You can't all be watching my stream, man. Commentator's curses for days. It'll make the race more interesting, I guess. But as all drivers leave the grid formation in single file, warming up the Pirelli softs here at Laguna Seca for this GT4 shootout. Leading the way. I'm just going to get my laptop out because I cannot read comments. And Seca. Not many names for Laguna Seca. We've got turn 1. That can't be right. Nevertheless, we're going to have to go with that. There's not really that many corner names. So drivers now making their way up to corner number 10, which doesn't have a name. Leaving corner number 9, Rainy Curve, which is the sharpish left after the corkscrew. And then we're coming up to the penultimate corner here, corner number 11. And then we're on the start-finish straight here at Laguna Seca. Surely there's got to be more. But it appears not. So nevertheless, we're waiting for the red lights to drop.
Green light. Go, go, go.
And we get the green, green, green here at Laguna Seca for the GLR GT4 race now underway. We've had contact, Nunn and JD. Obviously waiting to give him that position back. Restarts are always a little bit difficult, it must be said, but nevertheless we must continue on as we are on board with Professor Bean in the infamous blue and black liveried. Whoa, I could just see Kent just seeing the suspension of the GT4 looking like he might have lost control, but nevertheless he continues up and they make their way through turn 8. And through the corkscrew they go for the first time. And up to Rainy Curve. In lead is the 666 GT4 M4. Already putting a pretty decent gap between P3 as as Kazi flashes his way, or rather flashes to his pit crew as he goes past the start-finish straight. Still in pursuit is the 69 M4 and the number 14 M4, and none now in fourth, passing Cubs, I believe. I think has perhaps made a little mistake. Looks like he's made his way past the number 8 at GLR JD. I do know that GLR JD is an absolute beast on GT Sport, but nevertheless, we've got a Nun making his way back through the pack. He's got a clear run, chasing down GLR Racer. Can JD make a move on Kent? It looks like he can, as the Chevrolet seems to have made a little bit of a mistake. It's a very difficult track. I've just had a few runs of this myself, and I found myself going off here and there, so it is a little bit of a challenging track, but with only a 40-minute race to go, by the time they get in their flow, it's going to be coming to an end. With positions like this, and none 8 seconds to go to catch up P3. As the podium pack make their way past the pit straight. Kazimitsu in the lead. As they exit the Andretti hairpin and coup through corner 3 and through corner 4. No names, unfortunately. Here for Laguna Seca. Hello there, sir. Wagwan. So, gapping P2 by 3.2 seconds. Can Professor Bean in the identical M4 catch back up to the very quick 666, making his way through the corkscrew, and Professor Bean followed by Racer, Dougie, and now a Nun making his way through the corkscrew. Claiming victim very nearly. Got to get the car as straight as you can through that corkscrew, because if you've got a little bit of momentum and you still need to turn the car, the weight is borderline impossible to catch. And if you do catch it, you can scrubbed a little bit of time off catching that drift, as they now all make their way through Andretti hairpin. Professor B now 4.2 seconds behind P1. GLR Racer not even 2 seconds behind Professor Bean. Can he make anything happen though? That's the question, as the delta updates 2.4, so he's lost half a second. It looks like these are the set positions, although a Nun making another mistake. Now 28 M4 of JD making his way through 7 and 8. Kent still staying out on track, getting as much practice in as possible, because that's what it's all about here. It's not necessarily about winning, and unfortunately Dougie has made... It's given us an ace drifting show, Drift X right here. That's GLR JD. So we've got Kent. Let's see whether they can fight it out here then. So maybe we're going to have a fight on our hands with the M4 and the Chevrolet as they now make their way through the corkscrew. We've got Kent in front of the number 14 M4, and Kazimitsu is still leading that pack now, nearly 6 seconds ahead of Bean and GLR JD. A good 21 seconds behind P2. So we're going to jump on board. Oh, a little bit wide there. Is that going to give the run to Dougie? He's gone defensive. Let's see what they can do here then as we make our way up to the Andretti hairpin. We've got the BMW M4 on the outside, the Chevrolet on the inside, but can the M4 get a good run out as they make their way up to turn 4 here at Laguna Seca? And here they come. Oh, a little bit of a drift on the way into turn 4 for the M4 there. Can he get his position back? Or can the Chevrolet claim absolute dominance against the GT4 Chevrolet? Well, it looks like now he's sort of maybe getting into the grips of that Chevrolet. He might give Dougie a hard time. We've got a 1.6 gap between the Chevrolet and the... Oh, just having to catch it there. Is he going to give the run to the powerhouse that is the GT4 M4? Can he keep it on the inside, or can he get a better run? Or can Kent hold off the pro racer? He's taking that racing line. Kent's still on the inside line. Can Dougie get a better run here? It looks like the side-by-side going into... Oh, put a little bit too much pressure. Can he save it? Yes, he can. Turn 6 seems to put a lot of people under pressure. Kazumitsu, we're going to just jump on board with Kazumitsu for a moment as he's leading this race here at Laguna Seca for the GT4 event. And here we have matte red, matte black, GT4 M4. That was absolutely beautiful through the corkscrew. Able to get the car at a perfect weight transition and straighten it off enough to be able to get back on the power plant that is the M4. Obviously you've got an incredible amount of weight shifting over to one side of the car, and then as you're going down the hill you've obviously got brand new forces, less braking power if you will, but by that point you are on the throttle, so it was nice to see Kazi traverse his way through the corkscrew there, and perhaps can see as why he is leading this pack as well as he is. As we just stay on board a little bit longer as he traverses his way through turn 4, and under the Mothers sign polishes, waxes and cleans the Fanatec to our right. We make our way through turn 5 and up to turn 6. Let's see how Kazi can handle this. most certainly maximising his momentum there. Just a little bit of a flick in, not really getting off the throttle as much, but just chucking it in. And again, you can just hear the revs as they initially climb up, as they lose traction, and then again the weight of the car, the downforce, pushing it back into the ground, able to capitalise on all. I think it's close to 500 horsepower these. They don't have the aero, so they can't quite push themselves through corners like the GT3s, but nevertheless they do still have incredible speed and okay aerodynamics. But you can see that the weight of the car tries to fight for more balance, as the aerodynamics just don't quite have those extra kilograms pushing down. But looking very smooth nevertheless. And of course Professor Bean running an absolutely legendary race in the Next Gen series. Here he is showing support for the GLR boys. Lovely bright green LCD. BFK, Bean, Flicker. God's sake. Oh dear. BFK, P2, yep. There we are, look, BFK. Oh, hey, oh, what's going on here? Whoa, 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 whoa. Oh, whoa, 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 what's going on? We don't need that. Bean, Flicker. I like it. Position 2. Absolutely legendary work. 13, nearly 14 seconds behind Kazi. And that just goes to show you how fast Kazi actually is, because Professor Bean and all of the medicines that he makes for himself, he is a quick dude. Nevertheless, GT4 today, usually in GT3, but nevertheless, just goes to show exactly how fast Kazi is. He now makes his way up to corner number 3. Have to start naming these corners myself, I think, if they're too lazy to do it themselves. Under the Cooper, sort of like blow up tower. Seems to be maximising his track widths pretty well. Clipping that apex. I've learned that you want to be chucking the car into that corner while braking, because the momentum doesn't quite get you around enough. By the time you get back on the corner, clipping the apex, the road just opens up a lot quicker, so it's a very strange corner. Nevertheless, as we come to the corkscrew, let's see how he can traverse his way through here. Pretty nice. Kazimitsu a little bit earlier on the gas, but there isn't really that much of a need to push here with only 24 minutes left to go, although it's not too far off the pace. And now Ken making his way out the way for the front runner. Kazimitsu gives a flash and making his way, as now the 69 passes the number 8, as I believe he was also
Pit window is open.
making his way out the way for the number 69, and now we have the number 28 of GLR JD making his way through the Andretti hairpin in the awesome looking M4. 14. First to pit. And Kazumitsu passing the pits. Will Professor Bean enter the pits, or will he just stay out for another lap or two? I'm not sure whether he'll do. I don't know whether he'll be able to capitalise on the 16 seconds disadvantage between P2 and P1. Let's jump on board with GLR JD as he makes his way through the penultimate corner here at Laguna Seca. Still see the infamous BMW lights. And up to the Andretti hairpin, as well as GLR racer Dougie. GLR JD able to just get away in time, and that's going to have given JD, although interesting here. So number 8 Ken in the pits, number 666 going past the pits yet again. Under the other sign does Dougie go in the number 14 BMW M4. The question is, he's in P4, but everyone else is left to pit. Beautiful. Paul the Helicam man doing another Class A job. Dougie pushing, see if he can get that position back on GLR JD. I've got a feeling Dougie might be able to just push. He might even catch up to the 28 identical M4.
We are halfway through, keep it up.
Professor Bean entering the pits. And it looks like Dougie is now going to lap. GLR JD to our bottom left, and you can see Professor Bean in the pits. The shadow of the cars on track still there. Loving that. 666, 13 laps ahead. GLR Racer P4, but passing those in pits. We've got JD and Kazumitsu left to pit. So I'm going to assume that Kazi is now going to pit. We've got Professor Bean beginning to exit, and Kazumitsu not pitting, so he's going to stay out and going to pit at the end of this lap. So it looks like he may very well catch up to Professor Bean now. But with a pit to go, I'm not sure whether he quite has it within him. Nevertheless, as we jump aboard with Professor Bean under the Race Tech weather. Sorry, Race Tech weather something or other. I can't remember what that said. Bridge at Laguna Seca, and now under the Assetto Corsa Competizione. Sign hard on the brakes. Traversing it as much as we can. Kent getting out the way at probably the worst corner ever to do so, but he handled that like a boss. Pretty impressed nevertheless, Kent. And now we have Kazimitsu in pursuit. Loving that. Kent's got the green LCD and the white and red GT4 logo. It's beautiful. So, Kazimitsu now in the pits. Oh. You have some light damage on the front of your car. So we're going to see where he comes out, and that's going to be an interesting one. We've got Cubs fan now chasing Professor Bean. See whether he can keep up with Mr. Bean, as he is a fast dude. Under the Assetto Corsa sign, onto the brakes, keep it right, chuck it in, left, 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 left. Perfect line there from the number 8 Chevrolet.
Did you know it's now closed?
Oh, Kazi! That makes it more interesting. So, Kazimitsu with the stop and go penalty. Now, he was 20 seconds in front of Bean. If he can push with 15 seconds left to go, he can still take a P1, but he's most certainly going to have to push now. So that's made this race more interesting, because that means that Professor Bean is in with a chance of taking home the GLR GT4 Laguna Seca trophy home. 21 seconds, he's got a stop and go penalty, which means Professor Bean is going to catch back up, I would assume, next to side by side almost, which is going to mean that we're going to be in for a little bit of a race perhaps. It's going to be interesting as to when the 666 will decide to pit. Okay, perfect. This is what I wanted to see. He's done it again. So, this is where it's at. Now coming up to the penultimate corner here at Laguna Seca. Kazimitsu already in the pits, earning his stop and go penalty. And he now passes the 666. He had a 21-second lead. We're going to see exactly how many seconds. Oh dear me. I'm trying not to laugh. Kazimitsu now has. He's still in P2 though. GLR JD now coming to the penultimate corner at Laguna Seca as Kazimitsu exits the pits. Oh, this is definitely an interesting one. We've got Professor Bean coming up to corner 5, I believe, and now heading towards the corkscrew. GLR JD not quite able to catch up to the devil himself. But Professor Bean, and I don't know whether he's just also cut the corkscrew there. The tyres were on the green. The outside tyres, not the inside, so I don't know whether that's another track warning. So maybe Professor Bean could indeed open himself up to... Yeah. So, yet again, Ken was obviously waiting for the drivers to come back. Dougie's about to come back, so hopefully these two will have another little race again if he joins that road right now. We've got Dougie coming past. There he goes. So that means Kent's now going to rejoin. Yep, so he's just waiting, making sure he's not going to cause any accidents, which is awesome to see. Dougie just ahead. Maybe he'll slow down and give Kent a little bit of a run. I'm not sure. He's just 19 seconds behind P3, or maybe he'll want to push for P3, but nevertheless, Kazimitsu's still in P2 podium position. I want this Delta to bloomin' update. 1, 2, 3, 4 corners ahead. And 12 minutes left to go. Can Kazimitsu catch up? At least see the tail end of the 69 BMW M4 as he now makes his way through the corkscrew. Able to hold on. So we've just over 11 minutes left to go. I think Cubs fan has been asked to maintain the grounds here at Laguna Seca. Which is usually what I'm called to do. Nevertheless, it was awesome having some co-commentary with Cubs fan Kent in the number 8 Chevrolet the other day. Absolutely awesome. Can't wait to do that again. And just over 10 minutes left to go. It says Kazimitsu is a lap down, but he can't be. Let's have a little look at the delta here. So Kazimitsu with a lap time of a 1:31.6, which is pretty decent here for a very challenging track here at Laguna Seca. Professor Bean, oh, okay, here we go. So I just had to get this delta up. So he's 33 seconds ahead. So maybe 7, 8 laps to go. Well, he's still in for the winning. It just depends whether Professor Bean can indeed hold on to the to the championship podium GT4 Laguna Seca GLR race here today, as Kazimitsu now comes up to the corkscrew, gets that car flat as he can, unleashes all of that is it a V6 or V8? I think it's I don't know. I think it's a V8, V6. Let me know in the comments. Because all these V8 powerhouses are now V6s, aren't they? For road cars. Not really looked at the GT4 specs. I probably should do. But nevertheless, we've got Kent coming up to the Andretti hairpin. We've got Bean coming through corner number 5, heading up to corner 6. We've got the devil himself now making his way through the Andretti hairpin. Twin turbo, 3 litre inline 6. thought it was a 6-cylinder. Staying on board with 66 goes under the asset, of course, competitors only sign, and up to the corkscrew we have Kent dead ahead. What a line that is, I'm so impressed. Every millimetre of that force feedback being utilised. Beautiful chrome red helmet as well. Flashing the back marker to let him know he wants to come through. Kent most certainly abiding. What a legend. Oh, what a beautiful sound as well. That is the Chevrolet. So now, Professor Bean, 31 seconds, 30 seconds. Every corner that delta goes up and down, so it's very interesting to see exactly where drivers are gaining and losing against each other. It's quite interesting watching all the drivers on track, because it's not only you know, or how quick are you around a track. You know, some people can get similar times but be slower, seconds slower through these sections and a second faster through these sections, so there's always time to be made. The faster you go, it kind of means you've got to learn a new angle for the next corner because you're coming at it at a different speed, so it's a very long process. Nevertheless, I saw a 29 seconds there, but it seems to be hovering between 29 and 31 as the 66 and 69 and 666 M4 traverse their way through Laguna Seca, and Kazumitsu crossing that start finish. Delta still in between 29 and 30. Ooh, just dipping into the 28s now. And Professor Bean making his way up to the corkscrew. Through the penultimate corner, just under 5 minutes left to go. Got the 69 M4 hurtling towards that start-finish line here at Laguna Seca, and Kazumitsu 29.8 seconds behind. So it appears that Professor Bean has sort of got in the flow now, and unfortunately, with the stop and go penalty, it's put Kazi from a P1 to a P2. Now running a very similar race to Professor Bean and GLR JD, now coming through the corkscrew here at Laguna Seca. Pretty nice line there, not quite able to maximise his exit speed, but nevertheless pretty stable M4 as he traverses his way through the final sector of Laguna Seca and crossing the start finish line with just under 4 minutes left to go, putting him in P3, and GLR Racer only 11 seconds behind P3 podium position. Let's see whether he can make anything happen with 4 seconds left to go as he comes up to the penultimate corner here at Laguna Seca. GLR Racer always running a pretty solid race, it must be said. Dynamics of motorsport down. Very fun to be on track. We've got a yellow and blue liveried number 14 BMW M4. As we see in real time him traversing way under the Coupe sign and into the right hand section of Laguna Seca. The race logic ticking on. You can see the millimetre adjustments he's making here on his force feedback CSL Elite all the way from America. Sat in his rig. His way up to the Assetto Corsa Competizione sign early on the brakes just before the road traverses away. That's a beautiful angle there. That's a completely different angle to Kazimitsu. Kazimitsu seems to be utilising all of the track width through the corkscrew, but Dougie with these sorts of corners in the 14 M4 seems to be running a pretty solid race and a pretty banging racing line as he traverses his way through the penultimate corner here at Laguna Seca, and across the start-finish line we now have 2 minutes left to go. Professor Bean in P1 BFK 001 and Kazimitsu in P2. Suspension working hard for Professor Bean with the identical blue liveried helmet. BFK. To Kazimitsu. Under the mother's board, and we are most certainly going to be at the end of the race now. We've got 30 seconds left to go. I don't know whether the leader will be finishing the race or whether he's going to be on the final lap, but we're going to find out. I'm just going to jump back on board with Kazi. Professor Bean plus 29 seconds, so those two are running a very solid race between each other with identical lap times. Now it seems after Kazimitsu's stop and go penalty, which has ultimately put him in P2, but nevertheless an incredible race.
The leader's on final lap now.
As yes indeed, 4 seconds left to go. Race has come to an end as Professor Bean doing what he does best, running a pretty solid race, as he always does, providing he gets caught up in no dramas. This usually ends up being the case. One of the top runners, we've got Kazimitsu in P2 now crossing that start-finish straight, but not the race. Yep, so he's got that last lap to do, and GLR JD in P3, and Dougie only 5 seconds, so he's caught up to from 10 to 5 seconds to P3 now. Whether he can make it happen with one more lap to go, I am not sure, but we will stay on board with 004 PLY, assuming he hasn't changed his abbreviations. We need a DOG or a DU, Doug. DUG, we need Doug. DUG for your abbreviation. But nevertheless, continues to chase the number 28 down of GLR JD, and Kent now crossing that start-finish. Face it, race isn't finished yet, my friend, as Professor Bean now crosses the start-finish straight, bringing home a P1. Congratulations. Start flashing your lights, good sir. Give me a flash. Give me a flash. Okay, nevertheless, congratulations to the 69 of Professor Bean as the 002 of Kazimitsu now crosses the start-finish straight. And a well-deserved P2 for Kazi, who should have took home a P1, but nevertheless, that stop-and-go penalty has literally put him 30 seconds behind. So, without that, nevertheless, would have put him in P1. And a beautiful-looking green 003 of the GLR JD, taking home a podium P3, and Dougie only 3.8, catching up to the GLR JD number 14 BMW as Dougie crosses that start-finish, giving us a flash. Absolutely incredible race as per usual. Just need that PLY to be a DUG, and we are golden. And Cubs fan still yet to cross that start finish, but he's crossing the penultimate corner as he now crosses the start finish straight here at Laguna Seca for the GT4 GLR race. And there we are, bringing us to a close. And of course, entering the pits like a pro. Laguna Seca reverse. Oh dear. And Kazinas in the 666, letting it all out. Until he can't let it out anymore.
Go.
So that brings this race to a close. The frustration of the stop-and-go penalty let out with the M4 doing some donuts, utilising the rest of them Pirelli softs, but that's going to bring this stream to a close. I hope you have all enjoyed yourselves. Some awesome events unfolding. I've been your host, the Macabre King, and we will see you tomorrow. Ciao, ciao.